off, and then it was the Priest, the Dragon Priest. Both of those, you look at it and say, wow, Freeze Mage probably has a pretty good chance. And it's the same going into the Warlock game. But here we go, game number 7. Neirea looking to join the elite group of players to make it back to a world championship. He was there in 2015. He said he was pretty happy with how he performed, but he was not happy with where he finished. So he wants to make it back there again, and maybe make it a little bit further, maybe take it all the way. Dr. J, he's looking to prove himself on a big stage.
And this is the game to do it. This is indeed a tough matchup for him. Where Dr. J's deck is mostly about offsetting early pressure just a tad and then using some AoE spells, clear out the board, having Reno Jackson to be that ultra-powerful healing spell and restabilize the game. It's an important tool in this matchup, but Mountain Giant's much more important because pressure is something that's really lacking from Dr. J's side. He's got to get Neirea under pressure so that he doesn't have the freedom to just draw every card in his deck with Loot Hoarders, with Acolytes, with Arcane Intellects, because if he gives Neirea that much time, it's a free game for Neirea. He will find the damage, he will burst 30 from hand. However, when he's got to pay attention to threats, that's when his combo starts getting disrupted. That's when he has to use burn spells, which break up that from-hand damage. It's when he's got to pay attention to Dr. J and putting combos together. He's got to start figuring out how Dirty Rat works. All those things make a big difference, but this chip damage early on is a major advantage for Neirea as well.
A lot of people discount the fact that Loot Hoarders, they can get in some deeps. Loot Hoarders can do some real damage, and that can force Dr. J to maybe have to be defensive earlier than he'd like to. Maybe go for a play that's not as pressure-oriented as he may need in the matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit surprised by this Earthen Ring Farseer, but he does need to stop this damage to some degree. He can't just let it keep hitting, or he can die a lot sooner than he expects.
Yeah, now Dr. J, a lot of players don't feel that comfortable in game number 7 because they feel the pressure, but Dr. J, he loves Reno Lock, and we talked to him about it. Take a look.
My favorite of the decks I brought has to be Reno Lock. I like Reno Lock the most just because even if it is like a one-of deck and you may not draw the one-ofs, it's still one of those decks where you can be a bit creative with it.
Well, I mean, he's going to have to get real creative if he's going to want to beat this Freeze Mage that has had a blistering start, not only with pressure, but with card draw. Kazaka's Potion, he's got some decent choices, goes with 5 mana. He realizes that he sort of needs tempo at this point. He can't play that long game. He needs to start going now. And I believe it's armor plus draw cards, so he wants to get closer to Reno. He wasn't able to tap as much as he would have liked in the early game, and so he's going to make up for it with the 5 mana Kazaka's Potion.
Yeah, it's a big deal too, because the last thing he wants to be doing is just paying his extra life if he doesn't have to, as he falls to 23 this turn. But the armor is really the big facet. That's a wrench in the plans for Neirea a lot of times. Whenever he can't just burn him straight from hand, because if he starts the sequence, say he goes for a 2-turn setup, then 7 more life gets thrown in the mix, suddenly that could change things. So the armor is probably one of the better options you can get from the potion of Kazakus. And it's looking like he's going to need it.
That's so much draw.
It's a lot of damage,
Look at it. He draws Emperor Thorson. He's like an ice lance away from just winning the game.
That's a good one, too. So Neirea's going to use Frostbolt here to hedge his bets against this Doomsayer dying. If he doesn't Frostbolt this Mountain Giant, what ends up happening is Dr. J can clear it, and then Neirea's got another big problem in front of him. In this instance, if Dr. J actually takes care of this Doomsayer, Neirea's got Fireball for it. So that pressure has been completely stifled. Where does Dr. J find his win in this game? There's a lot left to fight through, and this is a big hunk of pretty poor cards. That's how he's got to win. He's got to take risks like that one.
Blast Crystal Potion will put him behind on mana for the remainder of this game, at least until he gets to 10. But keeping that Mountain Giant alive, Dr. J realizes is crucial to the win condition. But he's going to watch Neirea just draw card after card after card. And he's got to be feeling like it's only a matter of time before he sees Emperor Thorsan hit the board. And it's lights out.
His hand is fairly threat light. He does have some extra damage with Leroy, Soulfire, Abyssal Enforcer. He's got some hits coming, but The big one right now is that he's really forcing Neirea's hand, and you can see how frustrated Neirea is here. He really doesn't want to use this fireball.
I'm thinking about it too. I don't want to use it either.
I wonder.
I'm thinking about it too. I don't want to use it either. I feel like he's gotta. If he leaves it there and just freezes it with the Frost Nova, and another threat hits, he's in a lot of trouble.
And you can see Dr. J rewarded for using the Blast Crystal Potion to keep that Mountain Giant alive. That's another fireball that he doesn't have to worry about being launched at his face. And even though Neirea had the card draw early on, now it's getting to a point where it's awkward. And it's that moment from the match earlier where he played Acolyte of Pain, didn't count his cards well enough, and overdrew what was potentially his only win condition left in his deck. Is that weighing into his mind? Is that making him scared to draw more cards than he needs to at this situation?
Well, I certainly think the Acolytes are a little bit better early on than they are late, especially in a matchup like this one, but that could be part of the reason why he's using the Forgotten Torch here as well. He's really not concerned with the 2 extra damage, but he is concerned with his hand size, and he's also very concerned with being overdrawn at this point. I'm certain that game is flashing through his head right now. Don't get your key card burned. Do those results-oriented sort of things, do those affect players too often in situations, I wonder? I mean, some players, they shrug it off, they don't think anything of it. You take a big enough hit, and you think twice. It's important to stay logical. Look at Neirea right now.
Channeling his brain energy into his cards. Bet he wish he had X-Hope's hat right now.
I wonder.
I don't know, I didn't click to it. I was like, what is TJ talking about? And I remembered the clip. Oh, yeah.
Draw a card with Novice Engineer here. Is it worth it expending another fireball?
Well, that's really what Neirea's going over right now. He's thinking about the game, you know, turns down the road. Like, what happens if I draw these cards? What happens if I draw these instead? You know, thinking about burn damage, thinking about stall effects. Now that he's drawing the Roaring Torch, it unlocks a little bit more card draw, and he's still able to wipe out the Abyssal if he wants to, but then he picks up Emperor, and he picks up Alexstrasza. When he finds those tools, this is an opportunity for him to get aggressive and look to start closing this game. That is a ton of damage in hand.
Next turn, he can set up the Ice Block and play Emperor Thorsan to reduce the cards in his hand and make sure that he's not going to die the following turn. He might need to wait a turn and go with, say, Emperor Thorsan plus Frost Nova if he realizes that he may need to set up a few turn lethal beyond that. But he's got the options that he needs. That's what Neirea's been looking for. That's why he's kind of looked a little bit frustrated with his draws, because he was drawing more card draw, but not much substance with his deck.
Well, now Dr. J is going to use his potion. Is he? Whoa, what? That Demon Wrath has to be make Neirea think this is something else card. I don't think there's. Wow, he is that concerned with taking a single point of damage right now. He wants to conserve every point of armor.
I mean, how many times, Admiral, have you watched a match like this, whether it be Freeze Mage versus Reno Lock or Freeze Mage versus just about anything, and they have exact lethal because of their planning? Every point of damage can matter. And how good is Demon Wrath going to be throughout the rest of this game? It's not going to be that great.
What does the 2 health on the Twilight Drake mean?
That's true. It's about balancing that. Sometimes we even see Reno Locks use their AoE spells to kill off their own minions later in the game to make room on their board for Reno or Earthring Farseer.
Dr. J did that in game earlier.
Yeah, he killed off his Manatite Tomes to stop drawing and make room for Ginyu Water Speakers. So getting that AoE out of your hand now, maybe damaging your minions could be a good thing, especially if it's to block damage.
And there's not a really strong way to kill this Emperor Thorsan for Dr. J. This is going to be a use of multiple cards if he wants to handle Emperor. And I can tell you right now, he's got to handle Emperor. If he doesn't, he will die.
Once you get into the 2 Emperor Thorsan tick range, you're looking at potentially your opponent being able to Alexstrasza you and kill you in the same turn.
With over 30 points of damage.
Well, maybe that gets into the 3 Emperor tick range, but 2 is still very threatening. Now 4.
That's when you just win the game. Not like the game you're in, just you win Hearthstone at that point.
It's a quest. 4 Emperor Ticks. Reward, win the game.
This is probably the best counterplay available. The minions aren't the strongest right now. Just needs to find a way to be able to burst Neirea in one turn, take care of what he's throwing at him. Is the Emperor of his own a threat to Neirea at this point? Now that Faceless Manipulator's gone, that's a lot less damage from hand that Dr. J has access to with Leroy Jenkins, Power Overwhelming, and Faceless Manipulator. Just gonna keep drawing.
I like it. Needs to find a little bit more burn before he can start going in. So this turn's going to be just secret development. Next turn's probably going to be the spook turn.
Well, I mean, you mentioned it earlier. How often do they have exact lethal? Neirea's, I mean, if I counted that right, that's 27 from hand right now.
Fireball 8, Roaring Torch 8, that's 16.
That's 27 damage. Dr. J has to heal himself for at least 1 this turn. If he does not, he loses.
Siphon Soul on the Acolyte pin would be the most reasonable to deny the draw. If he plays Reno this early, he's not popping the block, so he's vulnerable to Alexstrasza the following turn.
That's right. Alexstrasza often saved for that situation.
He's not going to play the Siphon Soul.
That's not a heal. That's not Reno. I'm pretty sure I counted that, and Neirea's going to check it and check it and check it, but I think that's lethal.
Yeah, he already mousing over the Evolved Kobold. Neirea is a very experienced Freeze Mage player. I'm sure he's been doing the math in his head, but this is a time where you
27.
triple check,
Wow.
quadruple check. The Demon Wrath and the Novice Engineer didn't even matter, and that means Neirea is going to come back from a 2-0 deficit and take the series versus DrJikininki.
Wow. Unreal. 27-0. Every single thing in that game mattered for Neirea. Heal in the final turn. It's tough to spot that. You're looking at the board going, oh, I got